From second chances and happily ever after dreams,
Will you marry me?
Oh my God. Yes.
to broken vows, new scandals, and bullets flying on a Los Angeles street.
And please, while you ahead, you won, I give it to you. You won. You win, you won. Leave us alone, man. Please leave us alone. That's all I'm asking. I'm asking nicely.
This is the disturbing downfall of Maurice Gibson. Maurice Gibson grew up in South Los Angeles, far from the Hollywood image. Details about his childhood are limited, but crime entered his life early, pulling him into trouble. As a young adult, he faced small charges that later escalated into burglary. That conviction led to a 7-year sentence in California State Prison, starting around 2012. 7 years gave him time to reflect on his choices and imagine a different path. Prison breaks some people and hardens others, but Maurice used it to present himself as someone who wanted to change.
Trying my hardest to stay away from my old associations. Excuse me. Hello? I'm so sorry, but my parole officer is pulling up right now.
And he went online. Prison dating sites like Plenty of Fish became his window to the outside world. Maurice created a profile that showcased his charm, his smile, his promises of change. He knew exactly what to say. He knew how to make someone believe in him.
Me and Maurice have been together for almost 6 years. We met in like May of 2015. It's crazy. I can't believe it's been that long. Malik is 11 and a half months old.
And my son is getting big by the second.
Behind the smooth talk and handsome photos, Maurice was still connected to his old life. The streets don't let go easily. The friends, the lifestyle, the impulses, they all waited for him on the other side of those prison walls. Maurice painted himself as a man ready for redemption. Women on the outside saw potential. They saw someone worth saving. One woman in particular saw a future. Her name was Jessica.
I was working, not one job, 2 jobs. I stayed out of trouble. We did more family things together. And it just made me and my wife happier. Everything was like, believe it or not, they say nothing's perfect, but it was perfect out there.
But Maurice's charm was about to pull an unsuspecting woman into a storm she never saw coming. Jessica Gibson wasn't looking for trouble. She was a civilian living in Las Vegas, going about her normal life. Then she stumbled across Maurice's profile on Plenty of Fish. Something about him caught her attention. Maybe it was his smile. Maybe it was his words. Maybe it was the idea of saving someone. Whatever it was, Jessica felt an instant connection. She reached out. Maurice responded. Letters turned into phone calls. Phone calls turned into visits.
We didn't see each other for months because we just didn't have the money to go back and forth. It's expensive. So for like 6 months, I had to take care of Malik by myself. It was hard.
Her family hated it. They warned her repeatedly. Don't date a felon. This is a mistake. He's in prison for a reason. Jessica didn't listen. She believed in Maurice. She believed people could change. She believed love could fix what was broken. Their romance played out on season 3 of Love After Lockup. Cameras captured Jessica's devotion as she visited Maurice behind bars. She talked about their future together. She planned their life. She ignored every red flag waving in her face. Maurice's 2019 release should have been their fresh start. Jessica moved to Los Angeles to be with him, leaving Las Vegas, leaving her support system, leaving everything familiar, all for Maurice. But adjusting to freedom isn't easy after 7 years in prison. Maurice struggled. He reconnected with old friends. Friends Jessica didn't trust. Friends who reminded him of his old life. The tension grew. Still, Maurice played his part on camera. He proposed to Jessica. Her father even helped pay for the ring. They had a lavish wedding ceremony. Everything looks perfect for the cameras. In April 2020, Jessica gave birth to their son, Malik Wayne Gibson. The show portrayed it as their happily ever after. A reformed man, a devoted wife, a beautiful baby, the perfect redemption story. Viewers rooted for them. Maurice came across as charismatic, charming, redeemable. Sure, there were subtle hints of problems. He was evasive about his past crimes. He flirted a little too freely. But people wanted to believe in the fairy tale. Jessica wanted to believe too. She'd invested everything in Maurice. She gave him her time, her money, and her future. She moved cities to be with him, built a life around his needs, and even had his child. Despite friends warning her to slow down and reconsider, she married him anyway, believing love would outweigh every risk. What she didn't know was that cracks were already forming. Maurice hadn't left his old life behind. He'd just hidden it better. While Jessica built their family, Maurice was already building an exit plan that would destroy everything she believed in. By early 2021, less than 2 years after Maurice's release, the fairy tale was over. The marriage Jessica fought so hard for was crumbling. Maurice wasn't the man she thought she married. Living in Los Angeles isolated Jessica. She came from Vegas, surrounded by family and friends. Now she was in Maurice's territory, his city, his rules. His parole restrictions kept them trapped in certain areas. She felt alone raising a newborn while Maurice drifted further away. Whispers started circulating. Maurice was seeing other women. He was out with friends while Jessica stayed home with Malik. The devotion he showed on camera disappeared behind closed doors. Then Maurice made his move. He abandoned Jessica and Malik completely, just left. He slipped back into his full-time LA life without offering a single explanation or apology. One day he was simply there, and the next he was gone, leaving her to piece together the silence he left behind. Jessica was blindsided. She was raising their son alone in a city that wasn't hers. Maurice didn't come around, didn't help, didn't care. But Maurice wasn't alone for long. Social media revealed his new romance almost immediately. Her name was Mandy, full name Amanda Orr. The couple photos appeared online. They wore matching outfits, went on regular date nights, and never hid their affection in public. Maurice looked genuinely happy, far happier than he had ever seemed during his time with Jessica. The most shocking part? Maurice claimed he married Mandy, while still legally married to Jessica. Bigamy isn't legal in California, but Maurice didn't seem concerned about legal technicalities. Jessica was furious. She'd been replaced like she never mattered. She started speaking out online. She accused Maurice of abandoning his son, of being a bigamist, of lying about everything. Maurice had his own version of events. He claimed Jessica was controlling, that she kept him from seeing Malik, that she drove him away with her behavior. He painted himself as the victim. Online, he flaunted his relationship with Mandy. Pregnancy rumors began to swirl, and Maurice even teased fans about the possibility of expanding his family, this time with Mandy. Not with Jessica, and not with Malik, the son he had left behind. Jessica blocked Maurice's access to their son. The bitterness was toxic. Co-parenting became impossible. Malik grew up without his father around. But Maurice's problems extended far beyond failed marriages. The law was coming for him again. His past kept catching up. Just when Maurice thought he'd escaped his old life, his criminal record was about to make a violent comeback. Maurice couldn't stay clean. 7 years in prison should have taught him something. Marriage should have settled him. Fatherhood should have changed him. None of it mattered. In 2021, Maurice violated his parole. The specific details weren't fully public, but one charge stood out: firearm possession. Ex-felons can't legally own guns in California. Maurice had one anyway. The firearm charge was eventually dropped, but the violation highlighted the obvious. Maurice hadn't changed. He was still making dangerous choices, still connected to his old life, still ignoring consequences. Then came 2022. Maurice and Mandy became partners in crime. Literally. They were caught shoplifting at a Maurice's clothing store. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. Maurice stealing from a store with his own name. But it wasn't just shoplifting. Grand theft charges were added. Drug possession charges too. Bail was set at $315,000. $315,000. That's not a minor crime bail amount. That's serious criminal activity bail. Maurice and Mandy became known as a dynamic duo of crime. Instead of reforming together, they spiraled together. She didn't save him, she joined him. The pattern was clear. Maurice couldn't escape the felon lifestyle. Every time he got out, he went right back in. Parole, arrest, court, repeat. His relationship with Mandy accelerated the cycle instead of breaking it. In 2023, custody issues with Jessica flared up again. Legal battles, social media fights, accusations flying from both sides. Maurice's life was chaos. Constant brushes with the law, constant drama, constant instability. His family grew concerned. His ties to LA street life were pulling him under. Friends from before prison, old neighborhoods, old habits. Maurice was surrounded by people who enabled his worst decisions. Mandy seemed caught in the middle. Was she a victim of Maurice's influence, or was she an enabler making everything worse? The answer probably lies somewhere in between. But none of the arrests, none of the violations, none of the warnings prepared anyone for what happened next. Maurice's downfall was about to take its darkest, most violent turn. On a sunny June afternoon in Los Angeles, Maurice's past finally caught up to him in the harshest way. It was June 23, 2024, Father's Day weekend in the Westlake neighborhood, when a double shooting in broad daylight changed everything. 2 men were targeted, and one of them was Maurice Gibson. As bullets tore through the air, the street exploded into panic, with people running, shouting, and scrambling for safety while chaos swallowed the quiet residential block. Maurice was shot 4 times: chest, back, arm, leg. 4 bullets tearing through his body. He collapsed, blood everywhere. Mandy was there. Video footage from the scene shows her speaking to LAPD officers. She's wearing a matching outfit from Father's Day photos she'd posted with Maurice earlier that day. Her distress is visible. Her shock is real. Emergency responders rushed Maurice to a Los Angeles hospital. His condition was critical, life-threatening, touch and go. The other victim, a 25-year-old male, was shot in the neck and leg. Rumors circulated online that he died, though those reports were never officially confirmed. The confusion added to the chaos. Maurice's injuries were catastrophic. A bullet allegedly caused severe spinal cord trauma, leaving damage that was instant and possibly permanent. He slipped into a coma, and his family confirmed the grim news online. No timeline for waking up, no guarantee of recovery. The injury raised terrifying questions about whether he would ever walk again or survive at all. LAPD confirmed 2 victims and multiple gunshots, but no arrests followed, and the case stalled through 2024 and 2025. Speculation erupted about motives, from gang ties to random violence. Mandy, who had stood by him despite everything, was now watching him fight for his life. By December 2025, over a year and a half later, no recovery updates had emerged. The silence suggested Maurice's condition remained dire. Permanent disability seemed likely. Death remained a possibility. While Maurice fought for survival in a hospital bed, his story became part of a disturbing pattern plaguing the franchise. Maurice's shooting wasn't an isolated incident. Love After Lockup has a dark underbelly. Violence follows multiple cast members after the cameras stop rolling. The show sells redemption stories, reformed criminals finding love, second chances, fresh starts. But reality tells a different story. Take Arthur Henderson, Season 9 cast member released in 2024. He met Hope through mutual prison connections. Their on-show romance looked promising at first. Then, infidelity happened. Fights erupted. Arthur's mental health deteriorated. May 23, 2024, just 1 month before Maurice's shooting, Arthur and Hope had an altercation at her Dallas apartment. He wanted his belongings. She refused. The argument escalated. Hope ended up hospitalized with 3 gunshot wounds, all in her gluteal region. She accused Arthur of shooting her. She claimed he pulled a gun during their fight, that they wrestled for control, that he shot her intentionally. Arthur told a completely different story. His mother Vanetta backed him up. They claimed Hope pulled the gun first, that she threatened Arthur with, "If I can't have you, no one can," that she accidentally shot herself during the struggle, that Arthur fled fearing false accusations. The truth remains murky. Hope's account says Arthur shot her. Arthur's account says she shot herself. No clear evidence proved either version conclusively. Arthur was initially charged with aggravated assault, but in October 2024, those charges were dropped. Too many inconsistencies, not enough proof. That doesn't mean Arthur walked free. He was rearrested in September 2024 on unrelated felony charges. In January 2025, he accepted a 14-year plea deal for his overall charges. He faced 25 to life potential. The franchise attracts people with trauma, people with criminal histories, people with unresolved issues. Then it puts them on television, gives them fame, gives them money, gives them attention. But it doesn't give them support. It doesn't give them therapy. It doesn't give them tools to handle their demons. Gun access combined with emotional volatility creates tragedy. Maurice's shooting, Arthur and Hope's altercation. These aren't random events. They're predictable outcomes of broken systems. Maurice's downfall wasn't bad luck. It was the ending written from the start, a crash waiting to happen long before it came. As details spread, people had a lot to say, and nothing was gentle. The comment sections lit up instantly. filled with people who had been following Maurice's story for years, some with sympathy, some with frustration, and others with the blunt honesty the internet is known for. One of the first comments repeated the version of events spreading online. The story was he got into it with someone, they spun the block and shot him, and an innocent bystander got hit too. That part is heartbreaking. Many users echoed that same sadness for the bystander, someone who had nothing to do with Maurice, yet paid the ultimate price. But sympathy for Maurice himself was far more divided. One user summed up a common sentiment: Mandy, Mandy, Mandy. He could have been in Vegas being a dad. The disappointment was clear. People had watched him get a second chance. New city, new marriage, a newborn son, and still choose the streets over stability. Another commenter didn't hold back. What an idiot. Cute. Had a second chance and chose this life. Now he's paralyzed in a wheelchair. It was harsh, but many agreed. They didn't frame it as karma, but as the predictable outcome of choices he refused to walk away from. Jessica, the mother of his son, came up again and again. I'm so glad Jessica had her baby elsewhere, one fan wrote. Hopefully, she's living a beautiful life far away from this mess. There was relief in those comments. Relief that she didn't stay tied to someone whose world kept spiraling back into danger. Others took a more cynical angle. Now he can draw disability and pay child support, someone joked, followed by another comment that added, exactly an addict's dream, living on public money. The theme of wasted potential appeared repeatedly. He could have been in Las Vegas with his wife, raising his son, but no, decisions have consequences. Sorry he had to learn that the hard way. It wasn't said with cruelty, just resignation. People had watched him make the same choices over and over, hoping he might change, and feeling defeated when he didn't. Others questioned the very idea of Maurice having fans. One comment read, "Why do they think they have fans? They literally have no talent. You're just on a show, so people recognize you. That's it." That sparked a whole thread debating reality TV fame and why viewers idolize people they barely know. The conversation eventually shifted toward his parenting. That part was the most emotional. "I'm glad he's not around his son," one person wrote bluntly. "That child doesn't need those habits around him. Sometimes you gotta leave your kids where they're safe when you're not living right." Another commenter added a softer, more compassionate angle. "Addiction ruins families. If he wasn't stable, maybe distance really was the best thing for the baby." Maurice Gibson had every chance to change. A loving wife, a beautiful son, a second chance at life. He threw it all away for the streets that never loved him back. Now he lies in a hospital bed, his future uncertain, his son growing up without him. Maurice's story is a dark reminder that some people just can't be saved. If you want more Love After Lockup stories, hit subscribe and turn on notifications for all the latest drama.